Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you so much for being here with us in the Young Chief Experience Officer Socratic Dialogue. We have gathered here to discuss some principles of user experience. Now, why user experience? Well, when you are running an organization, you are serving people and solving their problems. Just think about how it would be if you were a customer and you got the solution to your problem, but the experience that you have to go through is not good. In such a case, you might not want to keep on, continuing using the product or the service that you are using, right? Moreover, user experience sets a foundation for the technology that you are building, right? So having everyone on in a team, on the same page in terms of user experience becomes super crucial, so as to be able to deliver a very good experience to the customers that we have, right? So that's why we have gathered here. We'll discuss this, few user experience principles. We have two teams with us, and let's now go ahead and kickstart the event. Right. So before we jump to a dialogue, with the teams like to go ahead and introduce themselves. Anyone, you can introduce yourself, what you do and stuff. We'll be interested here.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay.
So, Prajesh, please go ahead.
Okay. So my name is Prajesh Pratap Singh. Good evening, everyone. And we are Team Wordsmith. And I've been working as a full stack developer since last month in DeepSoft.
Thank you, Prajesh. Yeah, Mitali, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mitali. I'm from Team Milestone Monster, and I'm working here as a data scientist since last month.
So, thank you, Mitali. Anyone else, please go ahead with your introduction.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Myself, Shahnaz. I'm also part of the Milestone Master, and currently I'm working as an Android developer. Thank you.
Thank you, Shahnaz.
Yeah, hello guys. Myself Roshan Yadav. I am also from Milestone Master, and I'm working in 12th vendor as backend developer.
Awesome. Thank you, Roshan.
Hi everyone, my name is Dehnaz. I am from the team Wordsmith, and I've been working as a growth hacker in Pradava and started my journey in DT from April.
Great. Thank you, Dehnaz.
Hi everyone, I am Isha. I am working as a content writer at Pradwa, and I am representing Team Wordsmith.
Awesome. Thank you, Aisa. So we have people from diverse fields. So, this ST will be interesting. Thank you, guys. Can the co-mod please introduce themselves?
Hello, everyone. My name is Harshvardhan, and I'm a UX designer and a product manager at DeepThought. And I have been at DeepThought for over 1 year now. So, yeah, happy to be here.
Great. Thank you, Harsh. And hello, guys. I'm Tushar, and I'm nothing more than your moderator today. So I hope that you have a very good experience today. Anyway, now let's go ahead and kickstart the dialogue, right? So the format will be, we'll ask one of the teams to go ahead and pitch, right? So we have this QFT, wherein we have asked the team members, the teams to think of a business and how they're going to, convince their team to think UX, right? So what the team members will do is they will present their ideas, right? And then the other team, they'll go ahead and question the team. Okay, so guys, first of all, please let us know why you have named yourself as what you did, the team name, and then you can go ahead and present yourself, present your pitch. I mean, so which team would like to take the initiative?
Yeah. We will.
Yeah, Team Wordsmith, please go ahead.
So we are a content writing company, and that's why we have named ourselves Team Wordsmith. So we are a dedicated team of skilled content creators, and we craft compelling narratives that resonate with your brand's values. So yeah, that's what we do.
Great, that's interesting. Thank you, Team Wordsmith. Please go ahead with your pitch.
Okay. Yeah, shall I start?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. For today's pitch, we are considering a content writing company named Wordsmith. And at Wordsmith, we believe in the power of storytelling to captivate, engage, and inspire. Let us take a look at the role of UX in our company. And the very first point is audience-centric content. So we produce audience-centric content and having a user mindset while developing this content ensures that our content resonates with the target audience by addressing their requirements, needs, and interests. It leads to engaging, relevant, and valuable articles. Now, I would request Aisha to take over.
We ensure brand consistency for the content that we write. We do that by keeping the voice, tone, and style of the content consistent across the content that we write. Next slide. We ensure increased engagement and sharing by using user-focused content. One of the strategies we use to inculcate the UX mindset in the employees is to incorporate design thinking in their value system. We explain every step and benefit of including every step of design thinking to the employees. Over to you, Danas.
So leading by examples, we make sure that we explain our team why we have used the strategy design thinking, why we used UX through the examples of the big companies like Apple and Airbnb, so that they can get inspired, and through their practices, we can give our users the best UX experience. Next slide, please. User persona workshops. In these, we make sure that the team come in contact with the users so that they can have a discussion. What are the users' pain points? Where are they making where are they facing any conflicts between the content we are writing, and how we can help them? How can we make sure we understand our users' behavior and empathize to them so that we can give what our users want. Next slide. So that's it. We are a content writing company through which we make sure that our mindset is UX experience, and our team leads to these mindsets through design thinking. And through this, we make sure that our content touches the heart of our users, and it benefits both our company and our client company as well as understand the user's perspective. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Team Wordsmith. So just to quickly summarize, right? So the strategies that they will use to, get their team to think UX would be, first, they will try to inculcate the design thinking system in the value system, right? The other thing is they will use examples that already exist in the market, right? And use them to convince a team, right? Another thing is they will conduct certain user persona workshops that will aid, in convincing the team to think from UX. Right. So those are three strategies the team is using. Now to Team Milestone Master to go ahead and question the team. Yes, Sanas, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a question, like you said that you will lead by examples, right? So the examples that means the companies that you are trying to, give that idea to for your team members, the products of those companies, the aim of those products will be different from that of yours. So what are the metrics that you are trying to let your team members to focus on from that companies?
When we say we are leading by examples, we doesn't mean the exact strategy we're going to use. The basic generic strategies they use, which are, for example, Apple uses user-centric. It's their perspective they use, and the simplicity, design thinking, and all these kind of techniques which they use in the user perspective, which they make the team understand how we can connect the user. So not maybe the exact technical things they use, but the generic where everything can be
Got your point, Dinesh. Thank you. Any follow-up?
Okay, so I had shouldn't it be like when you're setting examples to rely on for your team members, shouldn't it be like more precise? I mean, you are producing contents. So what exactly from those examples are you focusing on like that?
Which we have mentioned that we will use design thinking as the approach. When we say when you say user centric, we will say ki how do we use design thinking, empathizing to the customers. If we are creating a content which is centric to the rural people, we will empathize to the rural people, and then we will ideate the problem.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
accordingly.
Dinas. I
Right,
think
like
we are going to design thinking, right?
Yeah.
But Sanas's question is around that's that you are taking some examples from, let's say you're taking Apple's examples and stuff, right? You said that you will not go through everything that they have done, just pick out certain things, right? So on what basis are you picking those certain things out, and how are you ensuring that those are precise? That's what
Uh,
you meant, right, Sanas?
Yeah.
Yeah. we will pick out those which aligns to our company strategies. Yeah,
Okay,
Asha.
those that align. Any follow-up?
Yep.
Okay,
Asha.
Isa, you can go ahead first.
Okay, so first metrics we would consider that they have a wide user base, right? So we'd consider that as one of the metrics. The other metrics we can consider by analyzing the Google or the Airbnb sites. We can get the engagement from there. So we can use certain analytic sites and showcase those in the workshops.
Okay, any
that-
follow-up? Milestone Masters? Team Milestone Master, do you have any follow-up to what Isa just mentioned? Yeah, Mitali.
I don't have follow-up, but I have a question.
Okay, let's get in with this thread and then we'll jump to your question. Okay. Okay, then I have a question. So Isa, you mentioned all those 3 pointers, right? Wide user base, analyzing the, those analytics and stuff. How are you using those data to convince your team? How are those data helping you convince the team?
Okay, so we would be able to create engagement only if we are creating content that that addresses the problems and the challenges of the users. So if we happen to create content otherwise, we won't be getting that engagement. They won't find it relatable and understandable. That's why that analytics reflects their interest in reading our content.
Okay, got your point. Any follow-up for that, team Milestone Master?
Yeah, I had a follow-up question. Like, you told that you would be using data analytics. So is there any condition that you're setting to get those data? I mean, what kind of data you want to get?
Yeah, I would go ahead to answer that question. So we are basically using Google Analytics. So we can embed that within our clients, wherever we are publishing the articles, we'll embed that Google Analytics, and through that we can get the screen time of users within our article, their how much time they spend on the website reading the articles, and also what are the topics they are most interested in. So
Prajesh, I'm sorry, but you are going to the how, right? We don't want the how, we want the conditions that you are applying when you are going with the data analytics. What are some of the conditions that you're setting for yourself when you are analyzing, when you are doing all this data analytics stuff?
One of them would be the number of views we are getting. The other would be the duration, as Rajesh mentioned, because if they are reading the blog just for 30 seconds or 10 seconds, that means they have lost interest in between. So
Sure, but what
they
is the
are reading it for-
conditioning here? So if you do not meet this data, then do you not go ahead with the data?
Sorry, I didn't get your point.
Okay, so you said, right, screen time. Let's say that for a person, the screen time is 30 minutes, and the other person, and you set a condition of 60 minutes of screen time. So if there's that person with 30 minutes of screen time, then do you not go ahead with the data? Do you filter it out this way?
No, we won't. If it's like if they are just viewing it for 1 to 2 seconds, that could mean that they are not interested in reading the content. They've just clicked on the link and they've left. So that could also show that they are not interested in reading the entire content. They've lost interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Team Wordsmith. Let's go ahead with the next thread now. Okay. Mittal, would you like to go ahead and ask a question?
Yeah, I would. I wanted to ask the question that you said that you will be like conducting persona workshops. to encourage your employees to have a connection building with the users, right? So how are you going to be encouraging your employees to actually participate in those workshops, since after a certain time the employees lose interest, right? They don't participate much in the workshops because their goal is not much aligned. So how are you going to be motivating them to improve
So
the user experience?
yeah, one of the important aspect when you try to make sure that your team members are using this US perspective is how to make them understand how these understand this using of UX perspective will help them as a person, as a content writer as well. So empathizing, iterating, defining all these things, and having a conversation with the team will not only help you, us as a team as well, and being a content writer as an individual as well. So that way, they will not only make sure that the team gets the data, they will also it will also lead to their personal growth. So,
Got your
like
point,
that.
Dinesh. Any follow-up?
Yeah, how you convince them how you convince them that your perspective is aligned with the organization, how your organization going to help them.
So when a member joins our organization, we make them understand that these design thinking is agreed in our value system itself. So when they start working in our organization, each and every aspect will be aligned to the design thinking. These ways will not-
Dinesh, your mic, it's sometimes it's not audible.
Hello.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
go ahead.
When a team members enters the team, we will make sure that each and every project they use, each and every task they go through aligns with the user perspective. This way, it will ingrain in the value system and in the person as well. And also, we will conduct various meetings where we will make them understand what is the value of design thinking and UX perspective, which will help them as a person and as a team as well.
Okay, got your point, Dinesh. Any follow-up, guys?
Okay, so actually telling them the importance of the UX, would that be enough to convince them? Like what they are working towards, that should come from within, right? So telling the importance and all those will be like telling them to do and come this work in this way. So would that be enough to convince them?
As a content writer, everyone wants to grow, have an experience. When a person is attending a workshop or any internship, they will want a personal growth in themselves as well. So when you say design thinking, we will use design thinking in our perspective in UX experience, it will not only lead them to create a content in those perspective, but also it will help them choose for themselves as well how they will create it. So, yeah.
Okay. Mitali, follow-up.
Yeah, I have a follow-up. If exposing them to the personal growth, like the employees who are joining you in the company, exposing them to the personal growth, won't that be affecting the user experience? Because since they will be more aligned to their personal growth, since they will be seeing their own personal perspective or the objective in the whole company, will not that be affecting the user experience? Because they will be seeing everything from their own perspective and rather than from the user perspective. So how are you going to be dealing with that?
Okay, Aisha.
Aisha, please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So we'll explain this in a cycle that if you consider or if you write the content from the user's perspective, the user would be interested in reading the content. And that way you would increase the user base. And that would benefit the company and that would benefit indirectly the employee as well.
Great. Thank you, Aisha. Any follow-up?
Yeah. Means he joined you, or he is already a content writer. He know means what attracts the users. Means why he need your perspective. Means you means they also know about UX. You also know about UX, but you need to change a little amount means about UX to view means how you are presenting your thought. So how you can convince him to manage, because he have already some experience.
Right. So basically, they're having a transition in their perspectives, right, from personal perspective to an organizational perspective. Great. Then please go ahead.
I have I think that's a little tangential, right? That becomes a question of alignment rather than how a UX mindset works.
Sure, but if they're aligned, would they not be more convinced to think from UX?
Yes, but what the question from what I understood was it's about what if someone joins and they feel like they already know UX, or the company has a different understanding of UX. Then it's not about UX, it's more about alignment, right? Where a person is able to connect with the company or not.
Okay.
No, okay, Rosen, please clarify.
So we are trying to means making different situations. I mean, if fresher is joining you, then how you can convince him. If experienced person was joining you, then how you can convince him. Means surrounding question.
Okay, I think that clarified it, right, Hers? Okay, great. So what I've understood, let me just clarify, like to make sure that I understand, right? So what you're saying is, let's say a new person, a fresher joins, right? They do not have any perspective of user experience and stuff. So for convincing them might be different approach that you might take. But let's say an experienced person joins, right? So they have their own perspective of how they want to deal with the user experience, and the organization has their own value system, right, based on which they want to deliver experience. Now how do you have the transition for that experienced person, right? How do you convince them to think from the organization perspective? Makes sense, right? Okay, great. Then please go ahead.
Yeah, since we are a company which provides various clients, we do not have a constant client. There are various client which has various backgrounds as well. So a experienced person who will come from a different background will also experience different backgrounds here as well. So a person who has content writing experience in maybe technical phase, here they will also experience a phase which will align to maybe advertisement or any other web content writing and all those experience. So our experienced content writer may have different background. Here they will face a different background. So aligning to those, our values will help them create the content respectively.
Sure, but then how do you do that? How, right? Let's say that I believe that users will be satisfied if I give them 5 content, right? That's an experienced wala belief, right? But the organization says that you have to give 10 articles to satisfy them, right? So now 5 to 10, right? So I might not feel good, right? Because I feel like I'm experienced and stuff initially. So how do you convince me that no, 5 is not good, 10 is good?
We will make sure to present the experienced person, the leads we have got, the feedbacks, the reviews we got from our previous contents, why we think that these value we have implemented in our organization, and through that we can change the experienced person view.
Got your point. Then any follow-up to that, guys? They said, she said they will use feedback and stuff, the past results that they have got to convince the new person who has joined. Any follow-up? Okay, I guess no more follow-ups. If no follow-ups, then do you have one more thread that you'd want to start? We have 3 more minutes to go ahead for this round. Okay, no more question, I guess. Great,
Yeah.
thank you then. Okay, Rosen, final question, please go ahead.
How you can change the perspective of a person when it is not means trying to see through your lens means you just presented the feedback in front of the experience means it has some perspective, so how you can just overwrite it or manipulate it with your skills. Am I clear? Yeah.
Right. So basically, how do you ensure that the feedback and stuff that you have shown to the experienced person actually works, right? And that transition happens. That's what you meant, right, Rosen?
Yes.
Okay.
When we say we present with the leads and the feedbacks, it's actually scientific, collected in a scientific way, and these are facts. So if the person still thinks that it cannot align, we can make them understand in our views. But if that person doesn't align with if that person is strong head that I can't do it, then maybe we may change we may take some steps of not taking that person in our hand. Obviously, we'll take various steps to make them sure, but if that person is a strong head, we can't do anything.
Okay, great. Milestone Master, any follow-up with that?
Yeah, I think we are not allowed to change the person. We are as a team lead means we need to convince them. Means we have not an authority to change him.
Okay, let's say that you have the authority, but you have decided to not replace the person, right? So what do you do? You can go to any extremes, but what do you do to convince them? Okay, Isa, go ahead.
Okay, in that case, we can conduct an activity. We can call all the employees. We would divide them into 3 parts. One would be becoming our user. The other would be becoming the people who are applying the techniques or are aligned with the values of the organization. And the other one is not aligned with the values of the organization. We'd give these 2 teams on the agency side an activity. They would have to write content, and then we once they're done writing the content, we'd present it to the user team, and then we would tell them which of the versions that they like and their perceptions. So that's how they would be able to understand the difference.
Wow, that's great. Thank you, Isa. Okay, great. Let's stop there. It's 8:30, right? Let's go with the next team now. I hope you captured a lot of insights from the discussion that we had, right? So yeah, let's go ahead with the team Milestone Master with their presentation. But before you go ahead, please do let us know why you have named yourself as such.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll take that. Okay, so hello everyone. So here we are, Milestone Master, making you a master in achieving your milestones. So yeah, can we have the PPT, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll share that.
Yeah, please. Okay, yeah. So our Milestone Master is the ultimate progress tracking app, which is designed to empower and motivate you on your journey to success. We help individuals to manage tasks, track activities, and to enhance their time management skills. Can we have the next slide? Yeah. So the very first role of UX is the user can optimize their time effortlessly. User will be able to track their progress throughout the day, whatever task they are doing through our by using our app, and they'll be very much efficiently able to optimize their time and without going any off tangents. Can you have the next slide, please? Okay, so the user will also be able to visualize their progress throughout the week and also by the day by having a very much insightful graph over all the usage of the app. The user will actually be able to visualize the whole progress it's done. So they won't feel any, don't feel anything off tangents going on or around the world. So can we have the next slide, please? So also, since there is a lot many times that the user while using the app goes off tangents and they don't basically specifically align themselves with the task they're doing, what basically happens is while doing a particular objective or while finding yourself in a particular timeline, specifically to a particular objective, you kind of go off the thing, right? So the app will actually be sending you reminders. You can also have the option to customize the reminder, like after how much time the reminder needs to be sent to you or something else. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, yeah. So I guess Shanaz will take over the slides now.
Yeah, sure. So the strategies that we are using to make the team members think of users. So it is a gradual process, basically. So the first to start with, we would be making them understand like what is the purpose of the team, means why we are a team and why we are working. That would be the first step. So making them understand that we are working for the satisfaction of the users. The second that we would after this do is that we would consistently question them, and we will have consistent discussions like to convince them. In order to convince them, we have to get to know them, we have to get to know their values, and we have to align that values with the common objective of the team. So that would be the second. And third would be to encourage the team members to think from the user's perspective. So in this sense, we mean that we will have sessions, conduct sessions, or in other words, we can say that it will be casual discussions basically. So during these discussions, like everyone in the team would be present, and the developers will not be developers for the time being, and the UX designers would not be the UX designers, but mainly the users themselves. So we will have a collective discussion on the user experience of the app, or not at the app itself. I mean, since we will have it weekly sessions, we will have the feedbacks on the whatever features that have been built right now. So in this way, we will be able to get more, different perspectives, and then that will help them in understanding the importance of UX. Okay, so over to you, Roshan.
Yeah, so as a time tracking software, means we deliver a seamless user experience. We ensure that our time tracking app meet user expectation by enabling effortless and optimized time tracking.
Great. Thank you, Team Milestone Master. It was wonderful. Okay, so just to quickly summarize, right, the strategies. So again, the team has three strategies. The first one is that they'll make sure that team members are aligned and they understand the purpose, right? Why the organization is trying to think from UX and stuff. Okay. The second one is they will collect some data, some statistics from the market, and they will use those as resources for discussions and by discussions, holding discussions in the organization, questioning people and stuff. And finally, whatever they do, they will make sure that team members think from the perspectives of users, right? For example, design thinking, right? Empathizing with the people, understanding their needs and stuff. So those are three strategies the team is using. Over to Team Wordsmith to go ahead with the questions. Yeah, Denas, please go ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned that you will make sure that the developers are in the users team, right? So how will you make sure that your developers are in the same shoe as your users? The balanced perspective, basic.
Right, got the question. Denas, Team Milestone Master, please go ahead. Roshan, you're not audible. Can you go over again?
Yeah. Okay. So we are trying to maintain user-centric culture, and understanding end user, we are taking decision on the basis of data what we are getting from the market. Means data-driven decision, what we call.
Okay, and how is it ensuring that the devs and the users are on the same page?
So the data is derived from the user, right? So on the basis of that, means we are performing some action on the basis of what user what are the expectation of the user, what we have the data.
Okay. Yeah, Isa, please go ahead. Follow up.
How would you derive that data? What are the sources from where would you get the data?
Team Milestone answer. The question was, from where are you collecting all this data, right? Deriving all the data that you mentioned. So would you like to go ahead with the answer?
Okay, I'll take that. So getting the data would itself be a part of the design thinking process, and we will have get the data from the users directly from that. I mean, currently we are working on an app that manages time, right? So we will look into the other apps and which apps are, which apps are more influenced. I mean, which are the apps that have been that have more influence on the users. So depending on this, then we will check on what are the users' needs, and from that we will design our apps similar to that.
Okay, any follow-up?
What metrics would you take into consideration to evaluate?
I'm sorry, I didn't get you. Can you come again?
What metrics would you use to evaluate?
Okay, so for the metric sense, we will check whether is it the functionalities that they are, impressed with the users, the UI that they have been that they are influenced on, or whether is it the different managing all these things in that single app. So these will be some of the metrics that we will be looking forward to on what they are being influenced.
Any follow-up?
I had one.
Tenas, yeah, please go ahead.
Since you said you will extract the data and then you will look into the UX. So are you saying that after extracting data, you will assume the solution of the users for the users?
Okay, we are using data to means understand the user behavior to make our app more smoother or which help the user to enhance user experience. Means
Okay, let's.
different to enhance user experience. Yeah.
Okay, Rosen, let's say that you understand the user behavior. How are you using, all the data that you have collected, all the behaviors that you have understood of the user to with your team? How are you convincing them using this data?
Okay, so we are telling means when we get the data and we have this analysis, we are doing that in a team, right? So we tell them that these are the metrics that the users are specifically focusing on. And if we build the app similar to that on what the users need, then we will have a higher probability of successful app.
Yeah. Additionally, by emphasizing on how we get the competitive advantage by using this data in marketing.
Okay. Any follow-up, Team Wordsmith?
I had a question regarding one of the strategies.
Okay,
You
but
said
any
there will-
follow-up before we go ahead with the next strategies?
No,
Any
no.
follow-up? No, right? Oh, okay, great. Then please go ahead with the next thread.
Yeah, one of the strategies you mentioned, there will be questioning rounds between the team members. So that you mentioned that, right? So during these sessions and questioning round, will this not lead to exhaustion and burnout for the team members?
I think
Tenas, yeah, your voice got very low. It's not audible.
Sorry. Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, with these questioning rounds and workshops, will it not make the team members burn out and lead into different tangents?
Okay, got your point, Tenas. Team Marston.
Okay, so that's a good question. So, like in terms of questioning and consisting questioning and consisting discussion, that particular part is not a separate session or something. Since we are working in a team, we will have casual discussions, and as a team lead, we will align the discussions in such a way that it is aligning with the the team's overall objective.
Yeah, Isa, please go ahead.
How would you make sure by having these discussions that the organization's objectives are getting aligned with team members' objectives as well?
Okay, so in discussions, we mostly try to convince team members to think from UX perspective because as I mentioned the question, if what happen if fresher or a experienced person join, they are not means aligning with our goals because they have some why question in their mind. Because why am going to perform this through UX perspective? Why not from my perspective? So these kind of question by cross questioning, we are trying to solve this why perspective. Yeah, am I clear?
So
Any
how would
follow-up?
that perspective change?
Yeah, can you please repeat?
How would you make sure that their perspective changes?
Okay, so it's like, they have some kind of experience. They know how to make the user interface and all. But then with the data analytics and also with the consistent discussions that we will have a better understanding of what our users exactly need, right? So, it's okay that they are having that experience. They know how to design those, but we want that to align with these. I mean, with those data, we will help them to understand that this is what we are looking forward for.
Okay.
Great. Okay, Tenas, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, your main goal of understanding your user is data analytics. How will you make sure that your metrics of data analytics is 100% accurate so that it doesn't go into a different direction?
Okay, I think we need not jump on that because again, that's a bit on tangent, right? When compared to like how we are going to convince. Let's say that your data is not accurate, right? Let's take that approach. Let's say that your data is not accurate, whatever you have done, and you started using the data to convince your team, but it's going on horrible tangents and all those problems. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, there is where the design thinking is coming, right? So even if we fail for the first time, and then we go back to the stage where we have gone wrong, and then find those and then work on that again.
Okay, but since it got worse in the first, initial time, let's say that you did something like you were moderating the sessions and stuff, and you did something wrong, because of which I'm even more convinced not to think from UX. Right now, you're saying that you will go back to design thinking. Sure, you can go back, but hasn't the problem become worse? Right? It has become much more difficult to convince me now. So what do you do? How do you deal with that extra, toughness that has come? I hope the question made sense.
If you can repeat the question once, please.
Sure. So the thread was, let's say that you're using some data, right? The data was inaccurate, and you tried to do the session. The session went horribly, and people are even more convinced not to think from the UX perspective, right? Now, how do you deal with that? Sana said that since it's design thinking, it's iterative. You can go back to any step and then redo it. But my point is, let's say you're going back, right? But since you're going back, the people that mindset has gone worse, I guess. I don't know if that's the right term, right? They're even more adamant to not think from UX perspective. So how do you change, how do you deal with that extra toughness?
Okay, I think I'll take that. Basically, for that part, I guess the whole tangent thing is, and whole the perspective change is going because of the wrong data, right? We're not able to grasp the correct data. So if that happens, definitely we'll go back to the data and try to put in some more filters, so that the data that we are getting, or the data we are working on, is actually refined and is actually selected, so that we can rework on it and get to a point where our users are actually being targeted.
But do you go back to the data after you have met that mess, or do you review it before you conduct that first session?
To come to know that the mess has been created, definitely we will be moving ahead, right? At the point where we came to know that, okay, a mess has been done, definitely we'll be retracking it and creating some more filters or some strategies, or creating a small team to basically segregate the data, more refine it. Then
okay, in that case, my question was not answered. My question was, the mess has been met, right? Let's say that you're going back to your data, refining it and stuff. Everything is, you're doing it. But since the mess happened the first time, I'm even more convinced not to think from the UX perspective, right? So it's more difficult for you now. So how do you deal with that extra difficulty?
Okay, so the difficulty is coming, basically you are not thinking from the user perspective, right? The user experience is getting hindered over here. So what we can do is we can some of the team and definitely revise what exactly we are working on, and try to align all of the members and all of the team again towards the perspective and the vision that we will working on, so that the users that who are already there on our platform are not affected. And also we can regenerate and get some feedbacks from there, so that we can start working on a new defined vision or a new defined strategy to actually sum up or cover up the mess that has been created.
Okay. Any follow-up from Team Wordsmith on that same thread? Okay, great. Then I'm not exactly sure if you would call it a follow-up, but let's say that the mess happened in that team from a team's perspective, right? Then can you do something in the organizational level wherein the organizational leadership or the senior leadership also gets involved, right? So the difficulty can be dealt with. Can you do something like that?
Can you please articulate it more?
Okay, so let's say that the mess happened when you're trying to convince your team, right? Now it has become much more difficult to convince your team to think from UX. Now, in that case, can you, since it's the, you said that thinking from users perspective, it's the organization's value system, right? So how do you, include the senior leadership in your team's thing so that the team gets convinced?
Okay, how do we include a senior leadership or a mentor?
Yeah, right. How do you, involve the entire organization?
To sum up the mess that has been created? Yeah. That's a great question. Okay, so to involve the whole organization, definitely we would firstly create or
Okay, just one thing. I would like to first clarify. Can you do that? My question, first of all, can you do that? Is it a good idea to involve the entire organization, right? All the senior leadership and stuff. If you think it is a good idea, why is it a good idea? Let's not jump into the how.
Okay, Shahnaz, you can take.
Okay, so including the organizational leadership when you have messed up with the data, right? Was that the question? Okay, so why do you think that you need to include those leadership when we can solve that in the lower levels itself? So why do you think we need to do that?
Okay, the reason is, first of all, it has become much more difficult now, right, to convince them, right? Since it has become difficult, some, like earlier we had this point, right, that we might want to remove that person from the organization itself since they're not aligned, right? So now it has become much more difficult. So some people might start questioning their alignment. So if the entire, if the senior leadership joins in, they might be able to provide certain, more insights into how we can deal with it. Also, if the same thing happens with the other teams, then, again, the same approaches could be taken for those teams as well.
Okay, so actually, I think that we can solve this because means before involving the organizational leadership itself, because it is the data collection that has been gone wrong. So convincing the team that the UX thinking, the designing from the thinking from the user perspective was not the problem that has arisen. I mean, for everything to mess up, but it is the data collection, that particular element. So making them understand that this is where we have gone wrong is essential. Means I think that is more than enough to understand that. Means make them to understand that it is not the whole process that is in trouble, but only a particular section of that element. So that is where we have to focus on, and then design thinking on that.
Sure, but before Isa goes ahead, just one more follow-up, right? Sure, it makes sense that it was the process that went wrong, right? But you might not want to, try to fix the process, right? Because the thing has already happened and the effect has already been there, right? Now the effect is people, are not getting convinced even more, right? They have become much more, stubborn, let's say, right? So that stubbornness, that effect is that the effect is there. How to deal with that effect, not the process went wrong and the data collection went wrong.
Okay, can I take that?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, yeah, sure. So dealing with the nature of the like the teammates and all the people who are involved in the development of the app, basically dealing with that, we can definitely come up with also we were actually working on that. We will be come up with the learning drills and motivational drills. So basically that the stress that has been actually created in the like the company because of all the mess that has been created, or maybe because of the off tangent perspective that we are going on, we can actually ease that with the hint of entertainment purpose, so that the for human behavior where the entertainment kicks in is actually getting activated, so the stress thing is actually lowered down, and they are more into like a casual form, and from there we can align them and then take up the process.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Midali. Isa, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, my question has been addressed.
Okay, sure. Precious, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah. So one of the strategies you mentioned that you would define the purpose of the team, and how would you make sure, how do you inculcate that user's perspective by defining the purpose of the team within your team members?
Can you articulate it a bit, like define?
Yeah, like by defining the purpose of your team, how would you inculcate that user mindset within your team members?
Okay, by defining the purpose of the team to inculcate the user mindset, definitely the very first thing that we're going to be doing is to actually convince our team to also use that app, so that beside just the purpose of their own, they are actually being very much closer to the whole usage of the app and actually empathize with the user itself. So being a user to the app and then working on it would definitely be like more easy for you to actually see it from a user perspective, so that you are actually enhancing the user experience, and definitely your purpose is also being some of them.
But won't you increasing the work of your developers? Like you first they're creating an app and they're using it as well. So how would you walk through that process?
Using it won't be a necessary task, right? They just need to be interacting with the app. That won't be like a task in their whole milestone or in the compulsory task. They just need to be interacting with this so that they can empathize with the user, they being a user itself of the app.
Actually, I think it can lessen their development, that pressure also, right? To have sessions like this.
Great. Okay. Then as you can go ahead with your question, last question, then we'll end.
Also, I wanted to ask since you have adopted the design thinking approach, how will you make sure that it does not, because design thinking have different stages to make sure the user experience, how will you make sure that the work is not slowed down because of these steps and going into these loops, so that the team does not lose interest on the user perspective?
Okay, so in this situation, we emphasizing that explaining about the UX in the team, that UX is not a one-time management system. Like we manage the system and just put on it and everything works. We need to continuously work on it to become means differentiate from the other competitors. I mean, we need to work on our product continuously.
Okay, any follow-up?
Also the Socratic questioning that we will be having within our teammate, within our working environment, would definitely will be helpful for the employees to actually find themselves aligned with the design thinking aspect and the user experience aspect as a whole.
Okay, any follow-up, Team Wordsmith?
What if there are people in the team who doesn't want to speak up, but also not aligning with your user experience? How will you ensure that each and every member of your team is asking your questions to align with your user perspective?
Okay, yeah, I guess we were actually, I think I addressed this. We are actually working on the drills, right? The learning and the motivational drills for the employees. Actually, not just stressing them with the thing, because every human will have a like casual interaction at least, right? If there's any employee who's not very much aligned and is very much stubborn and not actually finding themselves to even speak up while in a team or something, and they're not able to communicate their ideas, we'll get them to a level where we are actually interacting them with them casually, so that they're at least comfortable with their team lead. And once they're comfortable with the team lead is actually empathized from the employees or the team members perspective, and then they can have a communication and team lead can align them to the user experience perspective.
But what if you have a very big team? These strategies only aligns with a smaller team. What if you have a very big team? How can you interact with each and every person there?
Your voice is not
Okay,
clear,
then as meant, what if you have a very big team and you cannot, reach out to, like, you cannot understand each of the person, right? You cannot reach out to each of the person. So what do you do?
Okay,
Let's have that as a last question, right? Yeah, Mitali.
Okay, anybody else would like to take up, or should I?
Yeah. Means we are just promoting cross questioning, means conducting a meeting in which we allow our team members to just question why the UX perspective or why our perspective is not means valid from their perspective. So we try to articulate their perspective.
Does that answer your question, Denaj?
Means okay, let me emphasize, means clear it more. Means you are not convinced with our means aims or organization, then I can, in a meeting, we try to ask you why. Means you have some questions or you have some doubt related to our perspective, so we are trying to solve your doubt.
Can I add to it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sure. Last point, Mitali, and then we'll end.
And also to the point that if your team is large enough and you cannot reach to each and every person in the team, definitely we can segregate the whole team. Like we can divide the team into different parts and like reach out to them in a smaller unit, so that we are able to communicate with each one of them. Definitely the time taken will be even more, but yeah, we will be able to reach out to each and every team member, and that is exactly how it will be solved.
Right, great point, Mitali. And also, just adding up to that one last point, when you have divided people into these small chunks, right, then it might become easier for you to convince them, right? Somehow, like, sure, we can discuss further on that, but I feel like we can convince them, right? Because each one will be dealt with, right? There'll be connections that will form, right? They'll understand what you're trying to do and stuff. So, right, okay. Anyway. Great. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for such a wonderful discussion that we just had. Let's go ahead with quick reflections, right? Just a few 1 or 2 liners on what have you gotten out of this 50 to 55 minutes of discussion that we had, right? 1 or 2 liner of. I would request everyone to go ahead. So who would like to take the initiative? Yeah, Isa, please go ahead.
Okay, so some of the insights that I have collected from this SD is that collecting the data is very important, but it's also important to know the filters or know the parameters on which you'll be collecting data. The other insight is that you can make the team members comfortable by having casual discussions with them in order to align them with the organization's objectives.
Great. Thank you, Isa. Anyone else?
I can go.
Yeah,
One
please,
is
Dennis.
one of the major important aspect I observed is that how important it is that the team members to understand the goal of the organization and how important it is to align with them so that it projects in the product and helps in the clients and audience as well. So this is one thing.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dennis. Anyone else?
Okay, so I'll go next. So first of all, it was a wonderful discussion session today, and we were able to get to some points that we had not thought of during our initial stages of planning this app, like how we can take this means from the team level to an organizational level, and how can that leadership come in. The organizational leadership come into the play. So all these things, I mean, discussing on all these things have, increased the range of our thought process, right? So that was really wonderful.
Great. Thank you, Samas. Who would like to go next?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would go next. Yeah, okay. Now you can if you want.
You can go, Prajesh.
Thank you for that. So one of the insights that I got is that constant questioning. So we are not just questioning our employees, but they are questioning us as well regarding the topic. So that's how we know that the communication is two-way and both the parties are having clarity.
Interesting. Thank you, Prajesh. Yeah, Mithal, please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Very first thing was a very insightful conversation, and kudos to both of the team. We were actually able to come up to a very broad platform where we addressed a lot of problems that we could face. Even to the worst, if our company gets to the worst, we'll actually able to retrack it and get to a point where we're aligning it to the actual vision. That was amazing. Also, we also get to the point where the leadership quality can actually solve any kind of problem that thrives in the company. So definitely, we got to get to a lot of perspectives. It was amazing.
Great. Thank you, Mithali. Anyone else?
Yeah. Really, I enjoyed this session. And from the perspective means Tushar asked in the previous, I think, live SD, they asked if means they just put a question that if a user is not means they know the advantages, everything they know, but they are still not convincing to think about UX. So from my perspective, I means just fire them and hire new. From this perspective, I learned that just understand what their perspective is and try to means explain that how it is not suitable for this situation. So that's it. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, great. Thank you, Rosan. Yeah, Hers, would you like to go ahead as well?
Yeah, so I feel like through both the different perspectives, I was able to come to an understanding of how you can actually bring in not just the user mindset, but any mindset as a leader into the organization, right? Because I feel like the questionnaire, the suite was not just about user experience, but also about inculcating that UX mindset as a leader inside the team. And I think both the teams did well. There's one pointer that I realized right at the end that I could not question both the teams about because I realized at the end. So as a leader, let's say any of us try to bring the user mindset in the team, right? The one thing I feel like we all missed out was what are the metrics you would use to check whether this user mindset is present or not, right? Yes, we would have discussions. Yes, we would have reviews, but those metrics are important, right? Regardless of what the task is. So I feel like that's the only thing we missed out on, but it's not like as the teams go forward, those metrics would not come forward. So that's all. But great job, everyone.
Oh, great. Thank you, Hurst. And in my case, just one small thing that I want to say is usually in Socratic dialogue, what happens is at the end of the dialogue, you would want to have, the truth discovered, right? At the end, when you start, you have a certain goal. In our case, which is, a better understanding of the concept, right, that we are dealing with. So I think today we did have that, right? We did end up having a deeper understanding, but not just deeper, it was quite broad as well, right? We dealt with a lot of problem statements. Another thing that I very much liked was at the end of the first round, how Isa pointed out one activity, right, out of blue, that we can do an activity, and that's the idea of Socratic dialogue, right? At the end of the discussion, you come up with new ways of tackling those problems, right? And those new ways are usually structured in such a way that they make a lot of sense, and they're quite executable, right? So, and end up giving you a better understanding of the concept that you started with, right? So that's why I absolutely love Socratic dialogues, and I hope that you loved it too today, right? So yeah, great. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next week once again. Have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Right, guys.